If you've been on my channel for a minute, you may have seen my playthrough and review of Project Cat Paper Lily Prologue. I thoroughly enjoyed that experience, largely due to the excellent writing, fucking adorable art style, and the fact that it's an RPG Maker horror game. These types of games just have a special place in my heart, probably because I appreciate the challenges inherent in them and love to see small developers rise to the occasions and, at times, wow me with some incredibly smart maneuvers. Developers of this style of game, I imagine, are fully aware of the limitations of the genre. You're working with pixelated sprites and assets, so your ability to craft a gripping horror experience is almost entirely reliant upon the strength of your storytelling and the occasional illustrations you might throw in. I just don't think you can show me a pixelated ghostie and expect me to befoul my britches. So if you're going this route as a developer, you better have something to say. And if I learned one thing from Project Cat, Leaf6010 definitely has some insightful things to say. Just to sing its praises yet again before moving on to Paper Lily, Project Cat is especially remarkable because the devs are able to give us some really crucial and compelling character development in a very short amount of time. The efficiency with which the writing was able to draw me in and make me care about Cat and what the hell was going on with our girl is still unmatched. While I don't see that same efficiency in Chapter 1 regarding Lacey's presentation, I do find her unique set of challenges that necessitate her foray into the occult interesting enough to keep me curious. Comparing what we got in Project Cat to what we get in Paper Lily Chapter 1, I still think Cat is objectively a better character if we only consider the quality of the characterization we receive in the prologue compared to what we receive in Chapter 1. But Lacey shows a lot of promise. We first encounter Lacey going through mental gymnastics trying to place an order at a cafe. From her obvious exasperation, as well as the reactions from the other patrons, we know that there is something not right about her. From the inappropriate comments of the other patrons, we come to understand that something happened in Lacey's family, and, for whatever reason, just about everybody, Lacey's own parents included, think our girl's at fault. The team does a good job of shrouding Lacey's backstory in mystery, but I might argue they do too good a job in Chapter 1. I'm honestly waffling here. I appreciate that we had a lot less time with Cat as our protag-chan, so the writing had to be much more economical. Presumably, we'll be spending a lot more time with Lacey over the course of the full game, so you'd expect the developers to take a little more time with Lacey's character development. All that being said, I'm not sure the proper balance was struck. At least in my opinion, I left Chapter 1 with too many questions and not enough answers to shed light on how various plot points connect. Let's talk about what we do come to understand about our girl, though. We learn that Lacey sees other people's reactions to her as a sign that she is either cursed or possessed, which is why she's hell-bent on performing rituals to get spirited away. She thinks once she's in the spirit realm, she'll be able to find someone who could actually help lift the curse, or even just give her more insight into what's going on. It's also clear, though, that she knows the risk of doing these rituals. When we first take control, we are presented with a to-do list of things Lacey wishes to accomplish before she dies. Though her intention may not be to actually die, from this small yet mighty detail, we realize that Lacey is fully aware that these types of rituals can go horribly wrong. And what's so powerful about this is that, for Lacey, unspeakable horror and death would be a far better fate than enduring her own personal hell any longer, even if that means never getting to see her brother Hero again, seemingly the only person who looks at Lacey with love in his heart. So she performs a ritual that is supposed to summon a bus at midnight that'll take her to the spirit realm. The setup is honestly really nice for several reasons. First of all, the tasks we have to complete in order to carry out the ritual are a great way to ease us into the routine of gameplay. We have puzzles to solve, items to collect, etc. All your RPG Maker horror standard fare. So even if this is your first rodeo, you have some low-stakes objectives that will prepare you for the rest of the game. I think the writing shines in this introductory section too. Again, it's such a small detail, but adding "before I die" to the to-do list creates an unsettlingly strong discordance with the mundane nature of tasks like heating up leftovers for dinner. This juxtaposition works so well. I also think Paper Lily Chapter 1 improves upon the premise introduced in the prologue. In that game, they earn the right to assert that there is always another way. As I mentioned in that review, the team does a good job of breathing some much-needed vitality into the choices matter aspect of the RPG Maker horror genre. This genre is inundated with games that attempt to make you feel as though every choice has a ripple effect of unforeseen and cataclysmic consequences, but most fall short due to various pitfalls, such as just having you die if you get it wrong, or simply giving you the option of either doing something or not doing it, and then waiting to see if that one action kept you on or bumped you off the rails of the true ending. Having those as the only arrows in your quiver gets old real fast. Once again, this team earns that choices matter descriptor, and I honestly think it's executed better in Chapter 1, which is certainly saying something. Once we've successfully been spirited away, Lacey will find many challenges that require a lot of brain power to solve. But the thing is, we have to pick and choose on what we're going to focus our attention. Some things will remain unsolved, as once you complete one task, you might find yourself on the rails of the story, being carried forward with loose ends receding in the background that you'll have to explore in a subsequent playthrough. What I love is that the how you go about solving a puzzle carries over from the prologue. The objective we have to complete is only the tip of the iceberg. Yes, we have to complete it to progress, but much more important is how we go about completing it. This is the secret to maintaining the choices matter illusion. Not whether or not you do something, but how you go about doing it. Additionally, we also have to worry about what objectives we're unintentionally ignoring and ultimately abandoning. A prime example of this is when we solve the fuse box puzzle. This opens up a lot of places worth exploring. As a longtime RPG gamer, I stupidly assumed I could do one newly accessible area and then backtrack to another. Nope. Everything is a choice, including what you prioritize. This helps sustain the illusion that our choices matter, as well as encourages, nay, necessitates, subsequent playthroughs. And this is only the first chapter. Another strength of this game is the accessibility. You might have picked up on the fact that I'm big on this. I think there are devs out there who are making this more of a thing, and Leaf 6010 is definitely one of them. And it's such an important step in the right direction because gamers aren't a monolith. Some of us don't want a hardcore, challenging experience all the time. We actually don't derive pleasure from having finally accomplished something that made us want to tear our hair out due to the sheer amount of frustration each prior unsuccessful attempt caused. The team understands this. There are some quasi-battle sequences that test our reaction time by having us guide Lacey to safe squares in a grid while deadly weapons take swings at us and inexplicably fall from the sky or rise up out of the ground. All of y'all should know by now that my reaction time is terrible. I used to feel self-conscious about it, like I wasn't a real gamer or something, but now I embrace it. And I love it when devs acknowledge that not all gamers have lightning-fast reflexes. During these sequences, if you fail a few times, you can just elect to skip it altogether. I took full advantage of this. I'm not sure that many RPG Maker horror gamers play this type of game in order to have their reaction time metal tested, so it was just a good move to make these sequences skippable after a few failed attempts. On the flip side, there are some secrets to this game that Lacey can uncover only through putting the player's skill to the ultimate test. These are not skippable, so you'll fail these indefinitely until you get your reward, like with that potted plant demon in the sculptor's house. And I think that's appropriate here. We should have to work extra hard for the super secret stuff. Aside from the gameplay, the writing and world building are excellent. I still think we don't get enough from Lacey in Chapter 1, but Hero, Sai, Rune, Miss Knives, and Spider are all such intriguing, delightful characters in their own unique ways. While Lacey's characterization comes off as a bit of a miss for me, I'm willing to look past it due to the strength of the other characters and the team's brilliant handling of Kat in the prologue. I think too, the world building is just phenomenal. The mind-bending environments in which we find ourselves are so intricate and worthy of exploration, which is kinda important in a game where exploration and item finding are major components. But I love the creativity on display where we have to abandon any logical expectations we might have about what's waiting for us on the other side of a doorway. And again, I think the team is really smart in the way they inextricably tie environment exploration to story progression. You will have to leave stones unturned on a playthrough, which necessitates subsequent playthroughs. Really well done there. Finally, the art style and music are just so in line with the cutesy yet creepy aesthetic. Really, I don't know what else to say here except squee. Paper Lily Chapter 1 shows a lot of promise, and I can't wait to see the full game in all its glory. Even if RPG Maker horror games aren't your thing, Leaf 6010 is doing some really unique things that gamers of all stripes should experience and appreciate for themselves.